Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price right now, as I have some very important observations that I want to share with each and every one of you tuned into the channel. For those that were on our Discord today, we took 3 short positions early in the day for altcoins, which have hit all profit targets. Long position on Bitcoin at 37,700 when we saw the daily candle close, the monthly candle close, and we saw abnormal volatility. Bought the dip, and it also already hit profit targets. Do you all remember this chart here where we potentially could have came down to 37,600 to trap short positions and potentially liquidate leveraged long positions? Well, so far as I record this video, it looks like that's all Bitcoin has done so far. And so there's a lot to discuss today, snipers, but I just want you guys to understand what the bearish thesis is right now in the markets. People are assuming that Bitcoin is potentially going to form a lower low below 35,000 US dollars, and that's going to cause Bitcoin dominance to shoot to the upside, meaning that altcoins would bleed out extensively against Bitcoin with this downside move, and then maybe we move to the side. So basically what the bears are saying right now is that they're expecting Bitcoin to come below its 100-week moving average, which, by the way, the S&P 500 hasn't done yet, even with one of the worst Aprils in equity markets since 1970. People are assuming this is potentially on the table right now for Bitcoin, and what that would cause is Bitcoin dominance to shoot to the upside. But remember, by the way, snipers, there are 2 ways Bitcoin dominance can move to the upside. Number one is by the overall market selling off, and that would indicate the lower low scenario for Bitcoin. But the second way is the overall market moving up. And so I want to talk about what's happening on the chart, snipers. And I also want to address the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, because that is going to be our leading indicator for altcoins. But I just want to be clear, snipers, the S&P 500, as you can see here, at least for the immediate short term, in the next 24 to 48 hours, I do not expect Bitcoin to come below 36,000 US dollars. I don't even expect it to test 36,500, because the S&P 500 has yet to test its 100-week moving average. Bitcoin has been stronger than the S&P 500 from the start of this year. Why would we come down to test 36,000 this weekend? I just want to be clear, snipers. The worst case scenario I'm expecting through this weekend is a test of 36,500. Now, at some point or another, equity markets are going to bounce. We are going to start seeing green days in equity markets. During our red days, we have to prepare for our green days, which is why we shorted altcoins today before we saw the dip. I personally took those profits, moved them into Bitcoin, because that's how to make money in this market right now. There's always opportunity on the table. As a matter of fact, I believe right now there are more opportunities amongst us in equity markets, in the cryptocurrency market, than over the last 3 years. And so what does that mean for Bitcoin? Well, let's just keep this in mind, snipers. The 600-day moving average, which we're currently sitting below, which means that historically this would be a very strong accumulation area for Bitcoin, is really the major level and roadblock that we need to get above in order for Bitcoin to resume bullish action. So that's 40,000 US dollars, pretty much where we have our weekly open. And so at this point, we need to get above 40,000. Now, I know some of you bears are going to say, well, what about the monthly candle that closed? Pretty bearish. I wouldn't say it's the most bearish candle. It does look quite bearish. It looks like there could be a little bit more downside. We already saw a little bit more downside with this new monthly candle. But you can see here, it didn't breach the previous month's candle low, especially because we saw the volatility at the end of the day. It begs the question, what are the whales really planning here with on-chain analytics showing that whales are accumulating? Remember what we talked about. The last time Bitcoin had 4 red weekly candles, the following week was a green candle in June of 2020. That ended up being the catalyst for Bitcoin to eventually see new all-time highs. What would be a miracle is for this weekly candle tomorrow to close green, because that would be a thesis we can hold on to through the week to maybe even get us back above the 20-week moving average. So I think one bullish puzzle piece that we really want in the next 24 hours is for this weekly candle to close green, because that would validate the 4 weekly candle scenario from June of 2020, where that was the last time we had 4 red weekly candles and then we saw upside. It would be nice to see this candle green. I think that's what the bears don't want to see. And so the early signs right now that we could see that is getting back above 38,000. I will say this, snipers, the range that we're currently in has a resistance of 38,000 and a support of 36,500. That is the weekend range that we're in. We get back above 38,000, it opens up the door to 42,000. So quite simple for the immediate short-term price action. And then the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is really starting to come down and test this monthly open. So this is also on our radar right now as something very important, snipers. We want to stay above 72,000 Satoshis. If we move below 72,000 Satoshis, I will take this Ethereum to Bitcoin flag from green and turn it into red, because it would turn into a bearish puzzle piece. But so far, we cannot put that on the table as a bearish puzzle piece. If it becomes a bearish puzzle piece, that would certainly not help the bullish thesis, but so far it's not. And so until it is, and if it becomes a bearish puzzle piece, we will not assume it's a bearish puzzle piece. So right now, the only factors affecting the cryptocurrency market are the outside revolving parts in the equity markets, the volatility, the strength of the dollar, things that we cannot control. But within the market, I would say things are still bullish. You know, one interesting thing that happened today was altcoins bled out before we saw the dump in Bitcoin. The altcoins were bleeding out all day. We were taking shorts since 5 a.m. in the morning, and they were just continuously bleeding out through the day, almost giving us a little bit of indication that Bitcoin was going to at least see a last-minute dump, which it did. And so altcoins have bled out quite a bit. Will they continue to bleed out? No. Typically, they will rebound, and then if they want to continue bleeding out, they'll continue bleeding out. So with altcoins, I'm also expecting opportunities to come on the table soon. And that's actually exactly what I'm monitoring here in the next 24 hours. As this weekly candle closes, are there also opportunities on the table for altcoins? Because a lot of them have been hammered. And even if Bitcoin dominance goes up, some altcoins have already taken so much of a beating that they could have potentially have already bottomed out. So I'm certainly looking at altcoins like Cardano at 75 cents, Luna at $77 right now as we record this video, Solana at 80 something bucks right now, Link hitting $10 today, right? So certainly a lot nicer to buy Link at $10 than $25 if you're planning to hold it for the next 5 years, right? So this is what I mean by opportunities are amongst us, snipers. So really the main point of this video was to just emphasize that nothing right now is surprising. This is exactly what we've been looking at and monitoring and predicting as the potential bearish scenario in the immediate short term. If we come below 37,600 and we invalidate this chart, then let's just keep in mind that the range support that Bitcoin is in below 38,000 is 36,500. So that's the range that we're playing in. There's no reason for us to come to this 100-week moving average at 36,000 this weekend. The S&P 500 didn't do it, so why would Bitcoin do it? And with that being said, snipers, I hope you learned something from this video. But I think that the main thing that came out of today was the fact that it was just another opportune time to trade the markets, short altcoins, take those profits, move them into Bitcoin, hold it for the long term, avoid long positions on leverage for Bitcoin unless they're during volatile times, like that daily candle close, came down, bounced right back up, right? Maybe while you're watching this video, we continue back down. That's totally fine. That's why it was a day trade. So let's see what happens. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in to this weekend update. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support this content, snipers. And we'll continue to monitor Bitcoin inside of the range. 36,500 is a major support, 38,000 as our major resistance. We get above 38,000, it opens up the door back to 42,000 US dollars. I am not expecting a capitulation in the immediate short term. I would say that the most downside Bitcoin can experience right now would be towards the $35,000 level in the medium term. And that's if equity markets continue to sell off into this next week. But what I'm really expecting is maybe Monday, another sell-off. That would be probably a great time to start buying up some of the companies we love, some of the cryptocurrencies that we love, and then maybe Tuesday we see a bounce. That's kind of what I'm expecting. But we did get a bearish monthly candle close on a lot of different assets, especially the S&P 500. So let's see what happens into next week. Right below where the bearish candle closed for the month on the equity markets, we have the 100-week moving average. And so I think that, there is some downside still potentially on the table, but it looks like it's minimal downside, at least before we get more answers as to how the prolonged trend wants to move. But in the immediate short term, I think that we're either at a bottom or reaching towards a bottom. And with that, thank you all for tuning in today once again. I will see you next time. Snipers out.